The Healthcare Labyrinth Podcast is back for another episode. Join Marc S. Ryan, a veteran health plan and health technology executive, as he explores the world of healthcare.
Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the Healthcare Labyrinth Podcast. My name is Marc Ryan, and thanks to everyone for listening in. We're excited that this is episode number 90, and we are closing in on our 100th episode in the next few months. While we covered a bit of this topic in the past, I have had a number of readers and listeners write in and ask me the following: what explains the insurance meltdown? As we know, the insurance industry, but especially the big national plans, are facing an unprecedented financial crisis. How did they get here, many are asking? Is it just the times? Is it just external forces, or did insurers misstep along the way as well? So I thought I would tackle this subject today. We will take 3 breaks and break things up a bit, and we will seek to dissect this question and tell you the reasons for the insurer meltdown. So let's get right to it here. Let's start by saying that while a majority of insurers out there have struggled due to external and some internal forces, the big plans, the national ones, have suffered the most, so we will use their travails to explain the issues overall. If that is the case, we need to tell you a little bit about what I call the Big 7 publicly traded national insurers, most of them insurance entities within bigger vertically integrated companies. So who are the Big 7? First, we have United Health Group, the biggest insurer and vertically integrated healthcare company. Its services entity is Optum, which includes pharmacy benefits manager Optum Rx. United Healthcare is diversified across multiple lines of business. Our second of the Big 7 is Elevance Health, a vertically integrated healthcare company as well. Its services entity is Carelon. It's smaller, but it's growing. Its insurer is also diversified across multiple lines of business. CVS Health is next. It too is a vertically integrated healthcare company with CVS Caremark PBM, CVS Pharmacies, and insurer Aetna, along with many other assets, including providers and clinics. Its insurer is diversified across multiple lines of business. Next is the Cigna Group, a vertically integrated healthcare company, including its growing service entity Evernorth. CEO of Cigna, David Cordani, has really put an emphasis on growing Evernorth. It's not nearly the size of Optum, but it's in second place right now. Within Evernorth is Express Scripts PBM. Cigna is a dominant commercial coverage insurer, and it has shed its Medicaid and Medicare assets. Next is Humana. Humana is an MA-dominant insurer with some growing Medicaid lives. It has largely divested its commercial line. It has some vertically integrated assets, including providers and long-term care. Next is Centene, which is a Medicaid-dominant insurer with some Medicare Advantage and Part D lines of business. And last is Molina, a Medicaid-dominant insurer with some MA business, largely special needs plans. So there you have it. Those are the Big 7. And with that, let's take our first break. And when we come back, we will begin to tell you why the insurer meltdown occurred. Be right back.
Health plans and insurance are confusing. Our healthcare system is in dire need of reform. Health policy expert Marc Ryan tackles both issues in his book, The Healthcare Labyrinth. It is both a guide to navigating health plans and fixing American health insurance. Marc dives deep into how health plans and the American health insurance system operate. He then outlines a comprehensive reform agenda for the system as a whole, including pricing, emphasizing health and care management, and ensuring affordable access to health coverage and a private delivery model. Marc is a bit of an unconventional Republican in that he believes affordable access is the morally right thing to do, and that it is also fiscally prudent for our nation. Learn more about Marc's book, The Healthcare Labyrinth, at healthcarelabyrinth.com or search at leading bookseller websites. Available in print, ebook, and audiobook forms.
Welcome back, and we hope you are enjoying this edition of the Healthcare Labyrinth Podcast. We are talking about the reasons for the insurer meltdown of late. So why the meltdown? I do see this as two-pronged. First, some outside forces came to bear that chopped away at insurer margins. But second, and perhaps more important, most of these national healthcare companies got greedy and lost their financial discipline. So let's talk about the outside forces first. The outside forces are a bit easier to articulate. The outside forces are both utilization increases and some government actions. So let's take a look at utilization hikes. Insurers had it good financially during the COVID pandemic. While they had the expenses of COVID treatment, regular healthcare utilization plummeted, especially in 2020 and 2021. Since the end of the pandemic, we have seen huge spikes in utilization of healthcare services. The spike is related to recovery of utilization from the pandemic. Statistics show that some services have yet to recover to pre-pandemic levels. But there is a somewhat unexplained utilization hike occurring as well. Some of it can be traced to aging, behavioral health utilization, and new drugs, especially specialty medical and GLP-1 weight loss drugs. Inflation in the healthcare sector also returned to its robust nature, usually outstripping regular inflation as well as wages and gross domestic product growth. The combination of inflation and utilization trends has meant growth in various healthcare business lines of between 6 and 9%. This is projected to slow a little, but should remain north of 5% annually through 2033. And in some lines of business, it will be at the top of that 6 to 9% range. This will push healthcare spending as a percentage of GDP over 20% very shortly. Again, around 2033. I do think we will continue to see trends in employer coverage, as I said, to be much higher than other lines of business. Let's talk about government actions. Well, government actions certainly played a role here as well. Most broadly, we are seeing both state and federal actions which severely limit the use of utilization management and prior authorization. State laws are clamping down on PA and Medicaid and commercial risk plans. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has been busy doing the same in Medicare Advantage, especially in 2024, when it dictated health plans must follow the traditional fee-for-service program rules. There, too, have been a series of rate and other eligibility actions in the government programs arena. CMS phased in a new risk model, which will reduce revenue to Medicare Advantage plans by over 7% from 2024 to 2026. In MA as well, CMS tightened performance standards in the STAR program coming out of COVID. In Medicaid, the return of redeterminations post-pandemic caused roles to contract, but plan risks to increase. While states were generous during the pandemic on rates, extra money from the feds dried up, and plans now see a mismatch between costs and risks and rates. Government actions will continue to come in the form of the following: risk adjustment audits and other reforms in MA that will pare revenue. The budget reconciliation bill will reduce the roles in Medicaid further. This will continue, if not heighten, the mismatch between risk and rates. And the contraction in the exchanges will occur due to the budget bill, the expiration of enhanced premium subsidies, and a new enrollment restriction rule. These will all mean fewer enrollees and increased risk. While premiums will rise to offset some effects, the exchange world still becomes financially much less stable. And that will be the case even with a projected 18% median increase in exchange rates in 2026 in anticipation of all these changes. So the rising utilization, PA and UM restrictions, and other government actions have also unsettled the employer and commercial markets. Lower revenue in the government program sector has providers demanding higher rates from employers. And the old world of simply passing through utilization and cost trends to employer premiums is ending too. Employers are demanding much greater accountability from health plans that administer both self-insured and risk insurance. So with that, we will take our second break, and when we come back, we will tell you about what I think is the bigger issue here about the insurance meltdown, how the plans botched it. Be right back.
Lilac Software is proud to work with the Healthcare Labyrinth website to educate people on the healthcare system. At Lilac, we believe transparency is so important in healthcare. The healthcare system is opaque, and Lilac is trying to bring clarity to data and unleash the best member care, reduce costs, and improve outcomes. Our cloud-native payer platform revolutionizes data insights and analytics. Plans have all the data they need, but in silos locked away in point solutions. At Lilac, we solve the data fragmentation problem and help plans turn complex data into actionable insights, leading to greater operating leverage, tight cost controls, and healthier members. Health plans can improve STAR scores, reduce medical expense, drive revenue, and more. Quite simply, with Lilac, you can drive better business and health outcomes. Learn more at lilacsoftware.com.
Welcome back, and we hope you are enjoying this edition of the Healthcare Labyrinth Podcast. We are talking about the reasons for the insurer meltdown of late. We concluded before the break with some of the external forces that impacted health plan finances. But the bigger issue to me is that health plans generally, and the big plans specifically, miss the financial mark. In my view, the biggest reason for the meltdown was health plans' overzealousness and severe lack of discipline. Almost without exception, national health plans set aside caution and had a substantial lack of operational and fiscal discipline. Many on the inside of health plans would argue that there were uncharted waters with the COVID pandemic. I don't discount some of this. They would say it was hard to navigate some of the uniqueness of the COVID pandemic, the government response, and what would occur coming out of it. Still, the health plans and the investment community ignored many warning signs. A health insurer stock frenzy developed at the beginning of the decade, and they all simply did not want to or understand that they had to moderate outlooks. Underscoring this are the following. Generally, stock prices have dropped considerably for the 7 big entities: United Health Group, Elevance Health, CVS Health, Centene, Humana, Molina, and Cigna. All but Cigna have had to substantially change or pull back on guidance. United Health Group, CVS Health, and Humana all made major leadership changes in the face of these financial challenges. So where did the plans go wrong? Well, let's take this now by line of business. Let's start with Medicare Advantage. MA growth continues strong, although it has slowed down a bit. The growth is very much tied to the fact that MA provides a huge value proposition compared with the antiquated traditional fee-for-service program. MA growth was 11 million or 46% from January 2020 to February 25. The large national MA plans rode the wave of this huge growth coming out of the last decade and refused to recognize the expansions were unsustainable. Until more recently, each year they added benefits, expansion counties, and marketing despite the warning signs. 3 big ones were the following. Star performance peaked in 2022, and we saw 3 consecutive years of lower star performance since then. Plans, including many of the national ones, lost their star's edge and declined markedly, yet they continued beefing up benefits and enrollment. The new V28 risk adjustment model was introduced in 2024 rates. It was clear the model would have huge impact on overall revenue to plans. In 2024, plans saw a real decrease in rates with the phased impact of V28. The same held true for 2025. Yet it took most national MA plans until 2025 bid submissions to pull back on benefits and expansions. The new 2024 PA limitation, announced in 2022 and finalized in 2023, should also have been a wake-up call to plans. There was some evidence that the new rules were increasing inpatient and post-acute care. Even as lawmakers and regulators were raising concerns with risk adjustment, some of the big players continued aggressive risk adjustment practices. While they have seen lower revenue due to V28, additional losses could occur through risk adjustment data validation audits in the next several years. The Trump administration announced it would seek to audit every contract for every payment year. And large players also entered into questionable marketing agreements with brokers and third-party marketing organizations. Several plans are now being investigated for what might be illegal agreements that steered members to their plans through payments to the marketing entities. This continued despite several high-profile reforms, including CMS seeking to stop the marketing agreements. The CMS effort, though, was stopped in court. Yet the national MA plans did not take all the warning signs and react until it was too late for many of them. United and Elevance generally remained bullish on MA up until recent poor financial performance was revealed. While they did contract some offerings in 2025, United impacted about 250,000 members in that year. Only in the last few weeks did United and Elevance really sound the alarm in MA. United now plans to shed 600,000 lives in 2026. Humana waited until 2025 to curb benefits, products, and geographies. CVS Health waited until 2025 and seemingly went all in for 2024, despite signs and apparent problems at their insurer Aetna. In 2024, Aetna had growth numbers that exceeded or matched bigger competitors United and Humana. January 1, 2023, Aetna's enrollment was about 3.15 million. On January 1, 2024, it was 3.92 million. And Aetna added almost another 500,000 during 2024. Centene did contract some in 2024, given its financial woes, but apparently not enough. It contracted again in 2025. And last, Molina did not contract until 2025 either. Cigna seemingly was prescient. It shed its MA line and sold it to the mutual Big Blue Healthcare Service Corporation. Ironically, Cigna added about 100,000 lives between the announcement of the sale in early 2024 and the close date in early 2025. With Medicare covered, let's take our last break, and when we come back, we will trace how the big plans miss the signals in Medicaid, the exchanges, and employer coverage. Be right back.
The Healthcare Labyrinth is no ordinary website. It features news and commentary from one of the nation's leading healthcare policy and technology experts. Marc Ryan combs the internet for the latest healthcare news and publishes a news feed each weekday with summations and Marc's insights. Twice a week, Marc publishes a blog to go deep into a current issue. And of course, Marc hosts a podcast each week to delve even further. All of this is available at healthcarelabyrinth.com. Visit each day for the latest happenings in healthcare. As well, learn more about Marc's book, The Healthcare Labyrinth, at the website. That's healthcarelabyrinth.com, your go-to source for healthcare news.
Welcome back, and we hope you are enjoying this edition of the Healthcare Labyrinth Podcast. We're talking about the reasons for the insurer meltdown of late. We will now move on from Medicare to other lines of business. Next up is Medicaid. Much of the national plans have major Medicaid lines of business, especially Medicaid-dominant Centene and Molina. The financial erosion in Medicaid was somewhat more out of plans' control. Plans did lobby hard for rate hikes during the massive growth in the Medicaid rolls when eligibility rules were loosened for the COVID pandemic. The plans argued risk was rising, but once normal enrollment rules came back in, they may have underplayed the impact of declining enrollment. They now argued risk was rising with the disenrollments. but have had much less success arguing for rate hikes because of evaporating Medicaid reimbursement at the state level. At the same time, plans invested heavily in expansion throughout the country. Now, more lives will be stripped from the program due to work requirements, provider tax reform, and other enrollment and eligibility restrictions in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Did plans grow too much in Medicaid, ushered on by what were temporary rules expanding growth? It may very well be so. Let's move on to exchanges now. As with Medicaid, plans are less responsible too, but many of the national players in exchange-only Oscar Health expanded dramatically during the Biden years in the program as enrollment grew and risk went down and premiums stabilized or also declined. Many of these plans are now seeing utilization and costs increasing dramatically. With the sunset of enhanced premium subsidies that are anticipated at the end of 2025, enrollment will drop and risk and premiums will rise. This will force many to rethink where they serve the exchange population or pull out completely. Should those decisions have come sooner? Again, perhaps so. Let's move on to employer and commercial coverage. National plans even miss some warning signs in the self-insured employer and commercial risk world. Employers have been demanding more transparent arrangements, and health plans have been slow to respond. Big plans have made some changes, but largely held on to the old ways of administering self-insured products. Employers, too, are frustrated by ever-rising premiums and costs. Consequently, some employers are in the early stages of redesigning and breaking up product offerings to their employees. For example, contracting separately for pharmacy and medical, or direct contracting with some providers. This will be a long process. Because health plans were not more innovative in this area, this could certainly impact the amount of revenue coming in on employer and commercial coverage and impact client bases. Where do we go from here? The current trends, including the budget reconciliation bill, likely would have meant further retrenchment by the big national players in all lines of business. But it is equally true that the lack of financial discipline by most of these plans in the last several years complicates their recovery. Big insurer stocks will take some time to recover. With that, we will conclude this edition of the Healthcare Labyrinth Podcast, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks for joining Marc and the Healthcare Labyrinth Podcast. Go to healthcarelabyrinth.com each day for the latest healthcare news. See you next week on the next Healthcare Labyrinth Podcast.